Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at some really fascinating research, stuff that really makes you rethink digital retail from the ground up. We're diving into this idea called agentic commerce. It sounds a bit technical, maybe, but it points to a massive change in how things get bought and sold online, and crucially, how brands even get noticed in the first place. Yeah, we've pulled together insights that suggest we're moving, and maybe faster than we think, into a time where AI agents, actual software, do the heavy lifting. Product discovery, negotiation, even the final purchase. So if your brand has always relied on that emotional connection, great visuals, big campaigns, you need to understand that the shopper might soon be, well, a piece of code, a rational algorithm. Our goal today is pretty straightforward. Let's unpack what this really means. For businesses, for us as consumers. And we'll focus on the two things that seem to replace that human touch, structured data and machine-readable content. It raises a big question, doesn't it? If emotion and sort of brand loyalty as we knew it are less effective, what's the new way to build trust in commerce?
That really is the core of it. It's a complete flip. For so long, retailers aimed for the shopper's heart, right? Influence them emotionally. Now, the target is satisfying the shopper's agent's requirements. It's like you're talking to their very logical, very demanding assistant. And the language that assistant understands isn't subjective. It's all about numbers, proof, efficiency. It lives in how precise your data is and how well structured your content is.
Okay, so let's start there. Defining agentic commerce. Basically, it's like delegating your shopping.
Pretty much. Instead of you scrolling through pages and pages,
Right.
your personal AI agent is out there talking to the retailer's agent. And maybe that retailer agent is even talking to the supplier's agent further up the chain.
Yep.
They're these autonomous digital proxies, basically, acting on your preset preferences, your budget, your specific needs. Things like, find me the most sustainable option under X price.
So think about the websites we use now. Amazon, whatever, they're built for human eyes, right? Visual appeal, psychological nudges, only 3 left, that kind of thing.
Exactly. That's an interface optimized completely for human persuasion.
But if agents are doing the interacting,
The interface just flips. It's no longer about what looks good or feels urgent to a human. It's optimized for machine reasoning. An agent doesn't care how glossy your photo is or how inspiring the ad copy sounds. It cares about the data underneath. It needs precision, structured data points,
Yeah.
trust signals it can actually, calculate and verify. Then it acts autonomously.
Wow. So that's the really profound bit. Those huge, expensive brand campaigns designed to sway feelings, they might just bounce off these agents?
Largely, yes. Or at least they don't work in the same way because of much more functional evaluation.
Yeah.
Does this precisely meet the need? Is the data verifiable?
Okay.
And this really clarifies the new roles you see. The shopper delegates the choice, hands over the criteria. Here's my budget. Here are my ethical non-negotiables. Find the best fit. The retailer then focuses on optimizing fulfillment, making sure stock levels are accurate. Pricing is dynamic but fair. They build agents to serve these AI customers efficiently.
And the supplier.
The supplier has to get laser-focused on data, rich integrations, making sure their products, with all the relevant specs and provenance data, are easily discoverable and understandable by all these different agents talking to each other.
So the takeaway is,
Information replaces influence. That's the mantra here. Every single transaction becomes this data exchange, this negotiation between automated systems just looking for the optimal outcome based on defined parameters.
which leads back to your point. Data becomes the new storefront.
Literally. It determines what the agent even considers, let alone chooses and buys, especially when humans aren't directly involved in that specific decision loop.
Right. That shift from influence to information, it feels like the biggest conceptual hurdle, maybe. We're so used to thinking about branding, storytelling.
And intuition. Human shoppers rely a lot on gut feel, brand affinity built over years.
Exactly. But agents don't have gut feelings. They calculate. They're assessing credibility, like you said, not charisma. So let's get specific. What data are these agents actually exchanging? What's in that conversation?
Well, it's purely objective. Agent A, representing the shopper, isn't asking Agent B, the retailer, is this cool? Or will my friends like this? No, it's asking maybe dozens of quantifiable things at once, like, do the materials listed exactly match the user's allergy constraints? What are the verified third-party metrics for delivery speed to this zip code? What's the energy efficiency rating based on standard XYZ? And crucially, they're digging into trust signals. Things like provenance, where did this actually come from? Can you trace the materials? Is it authentic? Is it ethically sourced? This needs verifiable data trails.
Okay.
And sustainability, not just claims, but actual auditable metrics. The agent's job is to minimize risk for its human owner and maximize how well it sticks to their complex rules. And it can only do that with deep, granular, trustworthy data.
But doesn't this create a huge barrier? I mean, getting that level of clean, structured data,
Right.
that sounds expensive and complex. Does it just favor the giant companies who can afford massive data cleanup projects?
That's a really important point. And yes, it's definitely a challenge, especially for smaller businesses. The complexity is huge. But, necessity is the mother of invention. Because every decision hinges on that data quality and granularity. Data becomes the standard. It's the universal language, the protocol these agents need to operate.
So you can't afford not to figure it out, basically.
Pretty much. And that's why we're seeing this whole ecosystem spring up what some sources call intelligence supply chains. Companies whose entire reason for being is to bridge that gap, to take messy, real-world data and make it digestible for machines.
Right, like some of the startups mentioned in the research, you've got companies like Osmos. What do they do again?
Osmos focuses on getting the data in and cleaned up, simplifying how businesses onboard data from partners or different internal systems, unifying those messy, inconsistent data sets. Because before an agent can use data, it has to be clean and standardized. Osmos tackles that unification piece.
Okay, so data's clean. Then what?
Then you need to make it smarter, enrich it. That's where a company like 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐚 comes in. They use AI to add standardized attributes, making products much more discoverable for very specific agent queries.
So not just keywords, but actual features and characteristics.
Exactly. If your agent is searching for, say, a vegan leather crossbody bag with recycled lining under $100, 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐚 helps ensure the supplier's catalog speaks that exact language structurally. It goes beyond simple tags. And then there's external context. Agents need real-time info. That's where firms like Tembi operate. They help pull in and make sense of external signals, maybe supply chain delays, or competitor pricing shifts, or raw material availability, data that informs those agent-to-agent negotiations.
So the conclusion is pretty stark then.
It really is. The winners in this new era won't necessarily be the brands shouting the loudest. They'll be the ones who are the most data fluent, the ones who invested early in making their information structured, verifiable, and machine-ready.
Okay, so data is how agents decide between options. But how do they find those options in the first place? This brings us to the second pillar, content, and this idea of moving from SEO to GEO.
Yeah, generative engine optimization. For years, everyone focused on SEO, search engine optimization, which was all about tweaking your website so humans using Google or Bing could find your link easily, getting those clicks.
Right, keywords, backlinks, site speed, all that stuff.
All aimed at human eyeballs finding a link on a results page. But GEO is fundamentally different.
How so?
If SEO was about getting a human to click, GEO is about getting an AI agent to understand you, trust you, and ultimately cite you or integrate your information into its answer or recommendation.
Ah, okay. So the engine isn't Google search anymore. It's the generative AI like ChatGPT or others.
Exactly. And think about how that changes things operationally. Your potential customer isn't scanning 10 blue links. They're having a conversation with an AI assistant. That assistant, that agent, isn't browsing web pages in the same way. It doesn't click banner ads. It doesn't get swayed by a clever landing page design. Instead, it's reasoning across information it pulls from large language models, from structured APIs, from databases it trusts, from verified knowledge sources. Your content isn't just a web page anymore. It's potential input for that machine's reasoning process.
Okay, that's a big difference. So if you're a brand, how do you win at GEO? What does your content need to be?
The sources point to three really critical things. First, the content itself has to be structured and machine readable. Think less beautiful prose, more. Well-organized data points, even within an article. And crucially, it needs to be verifiable. The AI needs signals that this information is trustworthy.
Makes sense. Well,
second, all your core information, product specs, technical details, even brand narratives about your values or history needs to be explicitly encoded, using things like schema markup, clear metadata, well-documented APIs, so AI systems can easily ingest it and, importantly, reason with it, connect the dots.
Okay, structured, encoded, and the third.
The third is probably the trickiest, achieving semantic credibility. This isn't about how many other sites link to you, like old school SEO.
Right.
It's about whether your content is seen as authoritative, objective, and reliable by the AI model itself. Is your site, your documentation, your knowledge base considered the source of truth for your specific niche or product details? Enough for the AI to confidently include your information in its generated answers.
Semantic credibility. That's a great term. It really captures that shift towards being trusted by the machine.
It does. And it leads directly to this concept the research calls inbound intelligence.
Okay, what's that?
It's about creating content not just to attract human visitors, but specifically designed to educate the AI systems.
So my blog posts, my white papers, my detailed product pages,
Yep.
they're not just marketing assets anymore.
They become training data. That's the fundamental shift in perspective. Your goal changes from persuading a person with a story to teaching an agent with facts and structure.
Wow. That has huge implications for how companies are organized, right? Marketing departments usually focus on campaigns, creative.
Yeah.
This sounds much more like information management.
It demands total convergence. You can't have marketing doing its creative thing over here, and the data team managing logistics over there, and tech managing APIs somewhere else.
They all have to work together.
Absolutely. Because the story has to be structured data. The marketing content is the data source the AI might use. So it needs to be accurate, verifiable, structured, unbiased. It's a massive shift in mindset, and likely in budget allocation too, away from just splashy campaigns towards maintaining this foundation of objective, machine-readable truth.
Okay, so let's bring it together. We have these two pillars, data and content. They're like the dual engines for growth in this agentic future.
Exactly. You need both, working in sync.
Data is how the agent evaluates and decides, right? It compares specs, price, delivery, trustworthiness based on hard numbers.
Correct. It fuels the logical reasoning part.
And content is how the agent learns about you and discovers you in the first place. It builds that semantic credibility so you're even included in the option set.
Precisely. Content fuels discovery, understanding, and ultimately trust or citation by the AI.
Which means, like you said, companies need to break down those old silos. Marketing, data, commerce tech. It all needs to feed into one unified agentic growth strategy.
That's the goal. If brands want their voice, their products, their information to be part of this new generative ecosystem, they have to invest seriously in creating and maintaining that verifiable, authoritative content. It needs to be so clear, so well structured, that large language models aren't just allowed to reference it, they're almost compelled to, because it's presented as the most reliable source.
So what does that look like practically?
Well, structuring information meticulously, using robust schema, clear metadata, clean APIs for data access, and strategically it means shifting the content mindset. You're not just a seller anymore. You need to become the definitive teacher in your category, the go-to source for accurate information.
And we're already seeing tools pop up specifically designed for this, right? Tools that help make content machine-friendly.
Definitely. The research mentioned a few examples, like WriteSonic. They focus on crafting content that works for both humans and machines. Optimizing for readability, sure, but also structuring it so LLMs can easily ingest and understand it for their knowledge base.
So it feeds the machine directly.
Yeah. And then there's the scaling issue. How do you create potentially vast amounts of this structured, authoritative content consistently? That's where tools like Typeface AI come in. They help scale content creation while maintaining a consistent tone and structure, which is important even for machine consumption, ensuring reliability.
And it's not just text, is it? Images matter too.
Hugely. Visual intelligence is key. Companies like Bria AI are working on aligning images with their metadata, giving them semantic context. So when an agent is reasoning about a product, it understands the picture, what features it shows, just as well as it understands the written description. It all needs to connect.
So the bottom line for budgets, it sounds like a major shift.
A fundamental shift, I think. Money moves away from outbound persuasion, interrupting people with ads, towards inbound precision. Meaning investing heavily in enriching your data and creating that deep, authoritative, structured content that attracts agents because it's useful and trustworthy. The ROI isn't just clicks anymore. It's being cited, being recommended, being the data source the agent relies on.
It's fascinating. The whole competitive landscape changes. It's less about who has the biggest ad budget.
And much more about who is the most machine visible and agent trusted. That's the new competitive advantage.
Data lets the agent make sharp decisions on the specifics: price, quality, delivery.
And the high-quality structured content ensures your brand even gets considered, gets referenced, gets recommended by the generative AI systems that are increasingly becoming the gateway to commerce. Hashtag outro.
So the core transformation seems undeniable. The main interface for commerce is shifting, maybe slowly, maybe quickly, but shifting away from human persuasion towards machine reasoning. And success in that new world really rests on these two interconnected pillars: the verifiable quality of your data and the structured authority of your content.
Data informs the agent's calculation. Content informs its knowledge and recommendations.
One gives the context for evaluation, the other provides the foundation for discovery and trust.
Which leads us to a really critical strategic question for everyone listening. Whether you're running a local shop or part of a huge corporation, think about this. If basically every piece of content your organization produces online, from product descriptions to blog posts to technical specs, is effectively becoming training data for the next generation of AI commerce agents and LLMs, what steps do you absolutely need to take, starting today, to make sure that content is objective enough, structured enough, and authoritative enough that these unemotional, logic-driven systems will cite you as the source of truth? Because they don't rely on feelings or flashy branding. They rely on data and credibility. That's the strategic mountain, I think, that every business involved in commerce needs to start climbing right now.